Hello everybody and welcome to Amphlett Reviews, back with more test discs for some upcoming releases for November and December of 2025 from Arrow Video. The gift that keeps on giving, fantastic label, Arrow Video, pumping out some amazing titles from not just Asian cinema, but mainstream films, 80s films, art house films, horrors. And they've been absolutely smashing it this year with a variety of different types of movies and box sets and first-time editions in the UK in terms of 4K or Blu-ray set, doing some amazing restoration work, brand new special features, the spaghetti western movies, Dark City finally on 4K, and you're going to get a really good edition for bang for your buck, essentially, not just in transfer, but in packaging, special features, booklet essays. You're going to get a really definitive edition when you go to Arrow Video. And it's very rare they kind of slip or they kind of miss the mark. They're always consistently really, really strong in terms of editions pumped out. And this year's even more special leading into 2026, which is going to be really lucrative and really exciting for UK fans, including the fantastic partnership with Shout Factory releasing the Golden Princess library, over 100 plus films being released for the very first time in a high definition format, probably with brand new extras, physical release editions, digital editions. Some of these films have never seen the light of day or have been really hard access on really low quality DVD or just completely out of print, bringing it to a brand new audience, which right now Hong Kong cinema and Asian cinema is really booming right now between all these different various labels that I've been discussing and reviewing on the channel for quite some time. And this is a really lucrative, really big deal. Acquiring those rights at the start of the year back in February, slowly then releasing their editions bit by bit, from the Jet Li box set to City on Fire, Hard-Boiled, The Killer, their Tomorrow movies coming up, if not already out, Chinese Ghost Stories, and now the UK are going to be releasing their versions as well, catching up to probably what Shout Factory is doing, being they have the head start of it, being the fact they did kind of buy the rights to it, releasing their physical versions, digital copies in terms of Apple and Amazon, and going to the film festivals and releasing in cinemas, getting a lot of people talking and building up that kind of hype. And potentially you might already have this edition if you picked up the Shout Factory US version, but being the fact that they are quite pricey in terms of those kind of imports and the tariffs, and being the fact you might not like the artwork or anything, the UK has got you covered with Arrow Video's City on Fire, Ringo Lam City on Fire on the 1st of December 2025, and arguably I would say for the UK audience, it is worth the wait. This whole kind of debate's been going around in terms of which one's better, in terms of Shout Factory or Arrow, and even Imprint are releasing these editions. They've obviously got an exclusive deal with them as well. So in terms of like these films, in terms of the transfers, in terms of the extras and all that kind of stuff, Shout Factory's bought the rights to all of them, and they are leasing the rights out, the license, to various kind of boutique labels in different parts of the world. Obviously, Arrow Video's in the UK, Australia's Imprint. I believe France is also going to get an exclusive kind of deal as well. So everyone's getting a slice of the pie, essentially. So keeping that in mind, if you're thinking that Shout Factory needs to have my money, needs to have all my support because they bought the films, don't worry, because the opening of this edition in terms of the 4K and Blu-ray has the Shout Factory logo in front. They've done the 4K restoration and they've making money off leasing it out or licensing it to other kind of distribution companies or other kind of labels across the world. They are making their money no matter what, no matter what version you buy. You could buy the Imprint, the UK and the US version, and it doesn't make a difference. They're all the same version of the film, just depending on the packaging, the artwork, the extras might be slightly different. It's all going to the same cause, so it does not matter. I would say buy the version that you are comfortable with, which you prefer. You don't have to be loyal or elitist to one company like Shout Factory. You can support them by still buying the Arrow version, by buying the Imprint version, depending where you come from, depending what's cost effective, depending how much money you have in your bank. I think choose wisely the version you think is best for you. The good thing about this, each label is doing something quite different with these various kind of films and how they're presenting them, packaging. Imprint's doing steelbook editions with the original artwork, which is awesome. Obviously, Arrow Video is doing some fantastic brand new original artwork from Tony Stella, which looks amazing. Obviously, booklets, attention to detail in the packaging. Obviously, fixing some of the problems that maybe Shout Factory have overlooked or kind of let slide in terms of the subtitles and fixing some of the Cantonese audio tracks, which I know has been a bit of a problem with the Shout Factory version. Put a little bit more detail into that. Exclusive extras on the UK version. They're making their money back from the physical, digital and cinema via these various different editions and labels and leasing the license out. Do not worry. Buy the version that is for you, and don't worry about being an elitist or loyal to one specific brand. Get one, get two, get all of them. It does not matter. But I would highly recommend, in this case, absolutely for sure, in terms of what's been out, in terms of 2 editions, Arrow Video, it absolutely wins and it is worth the wait. Now, with that being said and out of the way, I'll be doing the test disc for Ringo Lam's City on Fire, released in 1987, the fantastic, massively underrated crime thriller, cops and robbers, thieves, jewelry stores, heartwarming emotion, action. There's just so much going on in this film. And it is the genesis and the birth of Ringo Lam's kind of springboard going in from the 80s, leading up to 1997, where along the way he would start taking bigger and bigger risks, doing all sorts of different types of films, mainly thrillers and action films, but diving into some supernatural movies along the way with the fantastic Burning Paradise, which I love, Full Alert, which is just on the brink of 1997's, and many, many more dramas, Prison on Fire, School on Fire, many, many movies, including some of the, Van Damme movies, which I've covered already on the channel. So just a really explosive time for Ringo Lam, and it is great to see this film on a high definition format in Blu-ray and 4K. So just like my other test disc, I'll be talking about the feature film itself in terms of my thoughts and impressions, and then talking about the special features, what to expect on the special features, and give you a little bit of an insight overall to kind of give you a bit of an idea of what to expect on this edition. If you already own the Shout Factory version, you probably would have an inkling already in terms of the quality and the extras, but with the Arrow Video version, you're going to get a little bit more, as previously mentioned. So definitely is worth potentially double dipping or waiting for this edition versus the Shout Factory. Regardless of which version you get, as mentioned before, it's all going to the same cause. So without further ado, let's dive into City on Fire.
佢最近啱啱查緊一個犯罪集團，班友想打劫一間珠寶工場，搶咗一批價值120萬嘅珠寶。佢哋一共有2支槍，行動非常迅速，有計劃嘅匪徒，唔係烏合之眾。
I think it goes around saying that City on Fire is fucking awesome. It is an incredible film. It is a staple, not just within Hong Kong cinema in terms of like kind of, mid-80s, in terms of what he did for Hong Kong cinema, in terms of springboarding, not just Ringo Lam's career, but also helping Chow Yun-fat's career. It is the blueprint and the inspiration for many films after this point, as we talked about within Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, taking some liberties and kind of, inspiring from City on Fire, something along those lines. But this film itself is also borrowing and has some clear inspirations for something like, French Connection and a lot of those kind of, 60s kind of caper kind of movies, inspiration, and we're kind of using that to create something original and fresh and work collaboratively with writers and actors and idols and big stars to create something really special for the screen and for the audience alongside it. And I think City on Fire really excels on that, really achieves it, and definitely kind of fits really well into that kind of, library that we see here in terms of his kind of creative kind of mind and how much hard work he puts into this. I don't want to paraphrase or go too much into the kind of the origins of City on Fire. I think I'll save all that for the special features because that covers everything. Anything you want to know about City on Fire, from its genesis to its reception, to the comparison between City on Fire and Reservoir Dogs, the kind of the actors, the writers, what was going on during the time in terms of how this film was being made, the guerrilla style filmmaking, which is completely bonkers that this entire film was done without permits. It was done on city streets, including the explosions, including the shootouts, and getting real raw kind of emotion and reactions from bystanders from guerrilla style filmmaking, because Hong Kong at the time didn't really kind of see eye to eye in terms of the creative arts. Knowing that, you can feel it because the film is so goddamn intense. This is a completely intense thrill ride. It goes through various different changes. It's a really kind of organic kind of hour and 45-minute film. Similar to what I've already said in my previous review for the film, it definitely delivers on what it sets out to do. Chow Yun-fat is excellent. He's coming straight off from the Bear Tomorrow movie, and he delivers a great performance. He does what he does best. He's charismatic, he's funny, charming, emotional as hell, really carries the weight of his character, the loneliness of his character. There's someone who wants to do the right thing. He's an informant, he's an undercover cop that is in the situation where he is still tied to this role of being the kind of the thug, the kind of the loan shark, the guy who's kind of, you know, infiltrating various kind of groups, and he's just kind of had enough. He's got a girl he wants to marry, wants to kind of leave all this behind, and this is his last job, his resignation. He's done, he's finished, he's put his time in. He's been harassed by not just by police, the Hong Kong government, but also various other gangs and other kind of crimes and murders happening. And you've got this gang who are doing these series of robberies, various different places, from jewelry stores and kind of watch places and various things. They've got a big score coming up soon. They need weapons, they need new guns, fresh utility, new tools for the job. And basically Chow Yun-fat has been assigned as a personal angle, because obviously this cop that previously introduced at the start of the film, obviously his family have been left devastated. It's very personal in terms of the, you know, the pressures of this job. It's a reflection of what's going on with Chow Yun-fat in terms of his character, and that's really important to the film. I think I like the fact the film, it doesn't gloss over that aspect. You know, you've got someone who has been killed doing a similar role to what he is doing, and he feels the pressure. He feels, this is going to happen to me soon. Here's my resignation. I'm done. I want out. And he gets convinced to do one last assignment, as mentioned, and to basically sell these guns to try and find the gang responsible for this. Crucial starting point of this film, being the fact it's an hour and 45 minutes, is heavy emotion. And we really understand who these characters are, their motivations, what their drive is, why they're doing what they're doing in terms of, you know, justice. And nothing's really kind of black and white in this. Nothing's clear cut. Everyone's got their own internal kind of reasons why they want to be an undercover cop, you know. And we get some great scenes with him and his superior, and we get great scenes with him and his girlfriend, and that relationship's kind of breaking down in terms of her wanting to run off with a kind of rich Hong Kong man to kind of Canada. And that's a bit of a pressure on him as well, to try and make those arrangements, make those commitments, unable to tell her that he is an undercover cop. You've got Daniel Lee's character, which starts off as quite a ruthless kind of, you know, a killer who's someone who is level-headed, but also willing to kill anyone gets in his way. And we start to see him kind of loosen up and become a really interesting kind of character, and kind of have a good chemistry back and forth between him and Chow Yun-fat, with the kind of exchange and sell of the kind of the weaponry, the merchandise. I really like the kind of attention to detail in terms of the kind of the seasonal change and how it leads to Christmas. It kind of officially becomes a sort of like a Christmas movie in a weird way, which is pretty cool, and aiming at the right time, right place in terms of something like A Better Tomorrow being not too long around the corner, and a new change in terms of kind of like mid-80s kind of action thriller films, new stars, new directors, new talent, really kind of demonstrating his hunger to do something like this. And I think it really shows in terms of his kind of creative outlet. Overall, my thoughts and impressions on City on Fire has not altered since my original review a couple of years ago. It is probably in the same bank camp as everyone else's in terms of their experience in terms of this film, whether you watched it on the VHS, the DVD, this new 4K restoration. I think this is the best the film's ever going to look in terms of presentation. I think it is a fantastic film that's been relifted again. Great performances by everyone involved in terms of the main characters and supporting characters, great scoring, really super intense guerrilla-style filmmaking. The behind the scenes will really kind of make you appreciate the amount of quality this film is in terms of that heroic bloodshed type movies, and not just in terms of action, but also drama, in terms of emotion, in terms of characters that you can invest in, and all leading into an action-packed robbery sequence, and leading into car chases, and a very intense kind of close quarters kind of shed in the middle of nowhere, bullets flying everywhere, everyone betraying each other, everyone shooting each other, all ending in a very highly emotional and very bittersweet kind of ending. Definitely one of Ringo Lam's defining films, probably one of his best movies, depending on your taste. And I think it really is an important film to get on a brand new edition from Arrow Video. So what are your thoughts on the film? Please comment down below, and let's dive into those special features. Audio commentary by Frank Jen.
FJ DeSanto. You've got
Burn It Down, a brand new interview with screenwriter Tommy Sham. You've got Hong Kong Confidential, a brand new appreciation by author Grady Hendrix. Some Like It Hot, a brand new appreciation by film historian Rick Myers. Burning Rivalries, a brand new appreciation by critic Ken Newman, alongside archival special features with interview Ringo Lam, Portrait of Anger, an archival interview with cinematographer, Long Arm of the Law, an interview with one of the co-stars of the film, theatrical trailer, image gallery, and many, many more. The special features for City on Fire is absolutely incredible. Anything you want to know about this film in terms of its origin point, with its actors, its directors, its writing, modern 2025 kind of insight into the film, brand new interviews from some of the best in terms of the field of Asian cinema, audio commentary by Frank Jen. It's absolutely incredible. And it really gives you everything you need to know about this film, how it was produced, how it was put together, the impact 40 years later in terms of this kind of everlasting kind of desire to see this film and to kind of revisit it, and how the importance of what this film did in terms of the kind of the genre. Now, one of the interesting special features on the edition is a brand new 2025 insight from the writer of City on Fire, Tommy Sham, which dives into the kind of 40 years later, the kind of legacy of City on Fire, being really pleased and happy that people are still talking about this film, happy with his efforts, and dives more into a more of a personal kind of story. I think it's quite interesting. You know, Hong Kong at the time wasn't about, collaborative effort. It was about idols like Sammo Hung, like Bruce Lee, like Jackie Chan. If you had an idol, they are the film. Essentially, it doesn't matter about the action director or the writer or the director itself. The script is just a template for whatever they need it to be, which is why when they say it's a bad film, they blame it on the script. But by that point, they've altered it so much, it's not what they've written. And I think this is one of the rare occasions where City on Fire has maintained in terms of its dialogue, in terms of its characterization, in terms of this, the pacing of the action, the drama, and the emotion, and some slight alterations with kind of Ringo Lam. One thing I absolutely will disagree with, though, is his kind of insight into Twilight of the Warriors, which he comments on being a action film, but was nominated for an Oscar, and it was just an action film, didn't have much of emotion, didn't have much of a connection with its audience, which I completely disagree, because I thought that film was very emotional, and I think it was very kind of, in touch with its characters, and I think it's about friendship and standing your ground, and I do disagree on his kind of impression of that film, but I just thought that was just kind of interesting kind of little sideline he was talking about. Not to mention, you've got a list of great extras really kind of diving into the kind of the history of the film. Some kind of rinse and repeat a little bit going on in terms of similar kind of information, but just been retold in a different way. But just really good extras ultimately, really well. Some maybe produced for this edition. Some I think got from somewhere else. I really liked the extra deep diving into the comparison between City on Fire and Reservoir Dogs. I thought that was really cool, and how that came to be. I thought that was a really good little insight. Brand new audio commentary, I think, was really excellent as well. I do think it's a different one compared to the Shout Factory, if I'm not mistaken, but again, similar, giving you a lot of information, a lot of deep dive into the well of the history of City on Fire, and from the actors and the writers and the director involved, so Ringo Lam. So all ground is going to be covered on the special features and audio commentary and the booklet. Everything about this film is in this edition, which is fantastic. So what are your thoughts and impressions on City on Fire as a film? What are your thoughts on this kind of brand new war going on between which version you're going to get in terms of the Shout Factory kind of collaborative partnerships between these different labels? Are you going to get all three? Are you going to get just one? Love to know your thoughts and impressions. Any questions, anything you'd like to know about the edition in terms of special features, extras, anything specific along those lines, please comment down below and I'll help best I can. So meantime, guys, I'm for reviews. Signing out.